So we know it's possible to overparent, right? But my next guest says underparenting is just as big of a problem, and you might not even realize you're doing it. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson is sharing how to tell if you are underparenting your children. Heather, good morning. Good to see you.
You too.
I am super intrigued and curious about this topic. I can't wait to hear what you have to say and how you're going to coach us up. I do find myself thinking, you know, we live in this society where it's like, don't judge, don't judge. And short of judgment, this sort of points to the idea that there is a right way to parent.
There is. There's a right way to parent. And if we want to take care of that judgment space, it feels a little bit uncomfortable, we can actually start there. So it's actually really great for us to look and judge, if we want to use that word. It's just not okay for us to condemn. Let's separate those so that we can all get on the same page and actually start looking at our parenting and deciding if the way we're behaving as parents is healthiest or if it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right? We should be judging. We should be looking around and deciding, does that work for us? Is that a healthy approach? We just shouldn't condemn. And there's a difference.
Well said. Well said, as always. And as we talk about, you know, right way to parent, that points to a wrong way to parent. Underparenting, overparenting, it sort of seems we ride this pendulum too.
We do. So we kind of swung the other direction, right, where we were helicoptering, we were making all the decisions, we were forcing and pushing too much. And so we went on this big movement where we need to give them some freedom and we need to let them have choices and make mistakes and all of that. And now we're swinging this other direction where we're underparenting, which is essentially not being involved enough. Whereas parents, we've stepped so far back that it's like, okay, well, go figure it out and live your life and do whatever. And we're not involved enough in what's going on. So now all of a sudden we're not actually parenting.
I sort of feel this. I see this. You hear this. I'm sure I'm doing this in many ways too. You have some signs that we might be underparenting because many parents, well-intended, may not even realize they fall into this category.
It's true. And we're always trying to balance this, right? I mean, how many messages do we get all the time? We're getting this, give them freedom, but make decisions, and they need to get good grades and go to college, but also let them choose. I mean,
it feels like a no-win.
It feels like a no-win. So some signs that we're most likely, I shouldn't say we are, but most likely underparenting.
Please.
If you have kids who treat your family poorly, if you have kids who don't treat their siblings and treat their mom and dad with respect or with kindness, with patience, with love, we're probably underparenting. We're not involved enough to teach them, to help them, to work on building relationships.
This feels like a big one. And I assume you're not talking about the, you know, sibling brawl that happens now and then.
No, we're not talking about that.
But a consistent unkindness.
A consistent unkindness probably means there's more parenting for us to do. We need to be more involved.
Okay.
Another one, if you have children, and remember we're talking all the way up to 18, so we'll say children, but teenagers especially, that do not have or that have as much screen time as they want. If they have unlimited screen time, we're underparenting.
Yeah.
There is not a child, for the most part, that can manage their own screen time. And so if they're getting to do that and they're in charge of all of it, we're not involved in it.
Okay.
And we need to make sure that we're more involved. If you have a child who isn't seeing you in the stands and you're finding yourself out of the loop, you're most likely underparenting. Now, we're not talking about parents' work and we have other kids. We recognize the balance that we're trying to manage here. But if your kids don't look up and every now and again see you at a performance or at a sporting event or supporting something, we're underparenting. We're not there, we're not showing up. If they're talking about friends that they hang out with at school, on the playground or in high school or go to lunch with, and they're saying names and we're not tuning in and we don't know who they're talking about and that, you know, Zoe's the one whose brother is sick and that Susan is if we don't know, we're probably underparenting.
I like that phrase, out of the loop, because I think every parent can instantly say, oh yeah, I'm in, or yeah, I could step up there.
Yeah, I could step up there. And the last one that's a really good gauge is if your child has low EQ or emotional intelligence, if they have a really hard time managing their emotions, we're probably underparenting.
Okay.
We're not involved enough. We're not right there enough with them to help them learn to manage and model.
Help scoop us out of this trap, this bump, how we can avoid underparenting. First, you say don't be indifferent.
Don't be indifferent. So when we find ourselves underparenting, we often don't have an opinion or a perspective. Mom, can I go? I don't care. Hey, what do you think I should do about this? It doesn't matter to me. Well, I'm struggling with this. And they come to us with these things and we give them the, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. Make your own decision. I'm not worried about it, and we're very, very indifferent. What we've done is we've just missed so many opportunities to parent, even if we're genuinely indifferent about something, because often we are, meaning, you know, our daughter who's a senior, she'll say, hey, can I go do this? And I honestly don't care. Either way, I trust you, go make those good decisions. It still is an opportunity, even if we are indifferent, to say to them, well, tell me what you're thinking about this, or how are you going solving this. It still is an opportunity to parent.
To engage.
To engage, to not be distant with them. So we don't want to be indifferent.
Which leads to this next point, this next piece of advice, which I love. Talk to your children, not about your children.
Not about our kids. So we want to talk to them. We want to talk with them, not behind the scenes about them. Oftentimes, if we're underparenting, we're having conversations, good and bad, about them with them not there. We want to be talking with them about what they're doing well. We want to be talking with them about where the struggles or the shortcomings or the places are that they can improve. We want to have conversations with them. Remember, if we're underparenting, we're actually looking for ways to not have to engage. And there's lots of reasons for the underparenting, but we want to talk with them and be right there with them. Now we're actually engaged in an appropriate degree.
How do we balance demanding with responsive?
So I love these two. I love them because they actually give us a really good gauge of what healthy parenting looks like. Demanding is when we are going to force and push a little bit to get them to do something.
Okay.
Right? And then responsive is when we're going to positively and quickly respond to something, right? When we're going to react positively and quickly to something. So look at what a balance would look like. We're probably going to be a little more demanding when it comes to homework, grades, piano lessons, and probably keeping a bedroom clean. Maybe kindness to your siblings. We're going to be a little bit more demanding. But when they come back to us as we're demanding and they say, this is too hard, or I'm tired, or I don't feel like it, we're going to be very responsive. We're going to respond very quickly and positively to the emotions that they express.
Okay.
And now we've created a really great balance between pushing where it's appropriate and also responding and hearing them at the same time.
Can I jump on the piano example? It's fresh at our house right now, so we're demanding practice. You know, we're investing in this talent together and this gift, this skill. You're going to practice. They come to me and say, I don't want to practice. It's hard. I want to go play. What's the balance there? Role play that with us.
Yeah, and that's where you can look and you can use your creativity. Where first we're going to look at them and say, I know sometimes practicing right after school can feel so miserable. Or I know it's really hard to sit down when your legs feel like they want to go out and run, right? And we're hearing them like that. If you want to be creative, especially because yours are still small, it's this fun place where you turn it into a tickle fight, or you scoop them up, or you know, carry them backwards to the piano, you sit down with them, where we're being very responsive and reacting positively to what they're expressing, and we're also still working them towards the piano bench at the same time.
Super quickly, just to acknowledge the older parents out there, it's a 16-year-old that doesn't want to do the homework, that doesn't want to study for the ACT. What's the balance there?
Yeah, it's the same thing, ironically. It's where we're looking at them and we're saying, all right, I recognize now is not a time when you want to do this. Tell me when a better time would be. Or is there something that I can do to help? Or even just hearing them first and saying, I know math is miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't love it either, and I know your teacher makes it extra hard.
So we're showing up and we're responding to those emotions in those moments of struggle or those moments of pushback.
And when we're responding to them, when we talk about responding to emotions, which helps us not underparent, it's not just responding to what I hear, it's making sure that we express to them, if this is true to you, this is how it might allow you or put you in a position to feel. It's not just saying, I'm sorry it was hard. It's recognizing, well, that must mean you feel embarrassed. Or I bet you were extra frustrated. If we don't take it to that deeper level, they don't actually feel like we're responding to their emotions. So we have to take it that one step.
20 seconds left in our pursuit to not be an underparent. You want us to focus on the simple things like what?
All the simple things. So this is the answer to every parenting situation always. And we're going to say it again. The simple things matter the most. They will always matter the most. Family dinner, laughing together, working together, playing together, being patient with one another. These are the very simple things. It doesn't matter what the situation is or how big the struggle. It will always come back to these simple things, adding so much to our parenting and to our families. Do not neglect them. Make time for them. Do whatever it takes so that the simple things are a part of your life, and then we won't underparent.
Beautiful reminder. Thank you so much, Heather Johnson. We love and appreciate you. To contact Heather for counseling, you can find her contact information on our website.